She called me the help while I was on my knees 3 feet away from her. Didn't lower her voice, didn't hesitate. Just said it casually, the way you'd mention a piece of furniture that needed replacing, and kept walking with her friends into the next room like I was part of the floor she was standing on. One of them almost stepped on my hand. She never looked down, never broke her sentence. I moved my hand, kept scrubbing. That was a Tuesday. It was the same as every Tuesday for 11 years. My name is Margaret Collins. But nobody in that house ever called me Margaret. To Diane Whitmore, I was the Collins woman when she was feeling formal. Her when she wasn't. And the help when she had an audience. I started working for the Whitmore family when I was 47 years old. Showed up to the interview in my best coat, navy blue wool. I'd owned it since my daughter's graduation. Diane looked at my application for 4 seconds, said I was older than she expected. I told her I was experienced. She hired me. I think she hired me because I looked like someone who wouldn't cause trouble. She was right about that. She just never understood what that kind of patience means about a person. She assumed it meant I had nowhere else to go. She never once considered it might mean I had reasons she couldn't see, and a strength she had never been required to develop herself. The house was 4,000 square feet of marble and expensive silence. 3 floors, 7 bathrooms, a kitchen featured in a magazine that sat on the coffee table for 3 years. I dusted it every Wednesday. I was never invited to read it. I cleaned all of it, every floor on my hands and knees, because Diane said the mop left streaks, every window by hand, because she could see watermarks in certain light. I arrived at 7 every morning, left at 5 every afternoon, 6 days a week for the first 3 years, because Diane had a philosophy about weekends that did not extend to household staff. I ironed Richard Whitmore's shirts in a specific order he had mentioned once in passing, not to me, to Diane, while I happened to be in the room, and I memorized it that same morning and maintained it without being asked again for 8 years. Work shirts first, then casual, then church. He never thanked me, but he noticed immediately the one time I got it wrong, called Diane from his office. She came to find me in the laundry room with that particular tone she reserved for what she called persistent small failures. I apologized, fixed the order, never got it wrong again. I planned 11 Christmas dinners, 14 birthday parties, 3 graduation celebrations, 1 wedding reception in the back garden that I spent 4 full days preparing, and was asked to leave through the side gate before the first guest arrived, because Diane felt visible staff would affect the atmosphere. I left through the side gate, came back before 7 the next morning to begin the cleanup. Nobody mentioned it. I didn't expect them to. Before the Whitmores, there was a man named Arthur Hale, 79 years old. Lived alone in a small house on Clement Street with a garden he could no longer tend and a kettle he could no longer lift without his hands shaking. His family visited twice a year, long enough for photographs, not long enough for real conversation. I worked for Mr. Hale for 6 years, made his tea strong with 2 sugars and a splash of cold water so it wouldn't burn his throat. Read to him on Thursday afternoons when his eyes were too tired for the page, sat with him through 2 hospital stays and 1 surgery his daughter flew in for, and left 3 days after. The night before he died, he held my hand with both of his and said, "Margaret, you are the whole thing." I carry those words every day, along with his pocket watch. Old gold. engraved on the back with initials that weren't even his. It had been his father's. He pressed it into my hand the week before he died. Said he wanted it somewhere it would be appreciated. I put it in my uniform pocket the very next morning. It was in that pocket through 11 Christmas dinners. Through the wedding, I left through the side gate. Through every dinner party and every wrong drawer and every time Diane Whitmore said the help while I was 3 feet away on my knees. Every single day. That watch was there. Diane had a way of speaking about me I need you to understand. She never shouted, never threw anything. She spoke about me the way you speak about a recurring household inconvenience, with mild irritation and complete indifference. At her dinner parties, she said things like, "The woman I have simply cannot be trusted with the good china." I was 2 rooms away, in a house that quiet voices travel through walls like they own the place. She told her friend Patricia I was a little slow. Not slow as in learning, slow as in not quite present enough to deserve full attention. I was folding napkins at the dining room table when she said it. I folded every remaining one without a crease out of place. Said nothing. The thing about being invisible is that you see everything. The worst day was a Thursday in February. Diane was hosting her charity committee lunch. I had set the table at 7 that morning. Fresh flowers, pressed linens, crystal glasses I had hand-washed and dried individually the night before, so there wouldn't be a single watermark. By 12:15, Diane was telling them, laughing, relaxed, that she had found one of her good silver serving spoons in the wrong drawer again. "I swear," she said, her voice carrying perfectly to where I stood by the kitchen door. "Some days I genuinely think she moves things deliberately, just to make my life slightly more difficult." The table laughed. One woman, Carol, red hair, kind face, looked over at me for just a moment. Something crossed her expression, something that might have been sorry. Then she laughed with the rest of them. I carried the soup out, set each bowl down without a sound, returned to the kitchen, stood at the sink, looked out at the garden I had weeded on my own time the previous Saturday, because Diane had mentioned it looked untidy, and I knew she wouldn't arrange for anyone to do it before the lunch. My own Saturday, my own time. Unasked, unacknowledged, invisible. And something inside me finally stopped. Not broke, stopped. The way a clock stops when it has simply run its course. Quietly, without drama, without asking anyone for permission. 3 weeks later, a man named David Park called my mobile. I was on the bus home, tired, in that specific way that lives in your hands and lower back. I almost didn't answer. Senior attorney, Park and Associates. Said he had been trying to reach me for several months. Said it concerned the estate of Arthur William Hale. I stood up on the bus, got off 2 stops early, stood on the cold pavement, and listened. I won't tell you the number. What matters is what Mr. Hale wrote in his own hand. He wrote, "Margaret stayed when everyone left. She made the tea strong and the room warm, and she never once made me feel like a burden. Whatever I have is hers. Every piece of it. Because she earned it the only way anything real is ever earned, by showing up every single day without being asked twice, and without expecting anything in return. She deserves everything. I hope it reaches her before she forgets that about herself."